Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and GoBots issue number 3. Every single thing in this comic book was done by Tom Scioli. Aside from like publishing and editing and things like that, but like, dude, the guy practically created IDW just so he could make this comic book. I'm just saying. Here's a picture of the dude. Like, homie, you got it. All right, so let's get talking about the book itself. Basically, Space, whatever the hell you're supposed to pronounce it. It looks like Spacey. He's the big rocket ship who doesn't seem to be much bigger than anybody else. I would have figured this guy would have been like effing huge, but I guess we're going by the toy size as opposed to anything else. Anyway, he's for the most part the focus of this. Him and like 4 astronauts are flying off. They got a LEM on them, which is interesting. They're flying off into space, and they land on this planet place, and they're like, dude, what's going on? Hey, what's going on? And like Leader 1 is there, and a whole bunch of other GoBots who we know and some we don't know. Like, you're under arrest, and they're getting ready to dematerialize the guy and jack him up, and like, dude, you see a whole lot of those, not so much obscure, but the ones that you'd forgotten existed ones, like Zod. No, not Kneel Before Zod. No, that big freaking thing with the big wheel on the front. I loved how frightening that thing was when I was a kid. It was the weirdest thing, man. Like Devastator and Omega Supreme and you know, Trypticon even. None of those really, like, you know, freaked me out or anything. But the way that they had that Zod thing on the cartoon, it was a little bit scary. Whatever. Call me whatever you want, man. I don't even care. The idea is when that thing came out, I was like, holy crap. And they actually had the scene from on there where you go, and they're like, you know, beep, 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 like, you know, all that stuff. And you can tell how cheap the Transformers were because they always like blasted things that nobody ever carried guns. They just somehow had like pulsar cannons out of their freaking hands or their butts or wherever they decided to fire from. It's like the freaking creators couldn't even make guns for them to fit in their hands. They were just trying to rush this thing out really quick to meet the Transformers. Damn it. Anyway, you get a whole bunch that include the command base and all that stuff, and you actually see a bunch of the other ones like in their natural habitat. I'm trying to remember what those things were called. The lambdas? I forget what they were called. Lambas from in Star Wars, the prequels, those big effing gigantic things that were walkers on Naboo. Naboo, right? Yeah, Naboo. And just whatever, they were like the cutest things, even though they were effing gigantic. That's what these things were kind of like. And it's like, oh, they sit and they're cool, but you say sit, and then all of a sudden it opens up a big, you know, command base. Like, oh my God, it's guts and entrails. Anyhow, there was a surprise in this, and this was basically the Twilight Zone episode. That's not in a bad way. A lot of times people say, oh, it's like really Twilight Zone, meaning it was out there and they're being, you know, pricks about it. No, not in this case. This was like an actual Twilight Zone episode where you're like, oh, shoot. And it's still not completely explained, but they are also about to get into the Magma Men, I think they were called, the Rock Lords. There we go. We're going to get into all of those pretty soon. Obviously, I think by the next issue, we're definitely going to be there. But these humans are going to have to face facts with what they're actually dealing with right now, because this is odd. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but there's a moment in here, a couple of moments actually, where you're like, wait, what? And I liked it. I liked it a lot, man. I'm telling you. This dude does everything in this book. This Tom Scioli Joker just comes along and just does everything inside this book and still makes a really good story. I was impressed. All right, guys. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.